Good morning, everyone. Kirsten with Wildly Yoga here. I wanted to do a video, and what this this class is going to be is I'm taking my foundations class and sort of putting it into more of a flow. So when I do this class in person, it's sort of a mix of a non-flow and a flow class. It's about an hour long, a little over, and I really try and guide my students into why they're doing certain parts of the pose, or what is the benefit, or what is the alignment they're looking for while in that pose, so that as they grow through yoga, they kind of have some good foundations. And in order to sort of teach foundational yoga, I created a chakra series, which I think is really appropriate and honors the traditional mind, body, and soul of yoga, but also allows us to work from the ground up. And so when the students get to the crown chakra in the 7th class, they can really get through a flow safely with proper alignment and purpose to their practice. And so, though the foundations class is just a lot of information while we're moving, and I thought that it would be neat to put together a video that turns that class into more of a flow. So once you have been to that foundations class, or if you have a stronger foundation in yoga, then you can do this flow and get the benefits of the root chakra yoga without as much of the nuances being taught. So with that being said, get in a comfortable seated position, whatever that means for you. That might be legs crossed, it may be a hero's pose, where you may find yourself more on your knees, such as this. Anything that you feel comfortable in, and that you can stack your ears on top of your shoulders, on top of your hips, and give a clear spine to universe straight line. So this is our root chakra foundation. Your root chakra is your safety. It is your or when it's open, when it's balanced, you feel safe. You feel you are stable and you are rooted, and that's the place of all things for us. So there's, you might hear like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's basically talking about all of those needs being met, and your root chakra is actually down the very tippy point of your pelvis, but oftentimes we kind of look at it in this form. So to start with, you can kind of take the lowest part of your body. For men, it might feel more comfortable down here. For women, you might feel more comfortable here. And pay attention as we start our yogi breaths, which is our diaphragmatic breathing into the stomach, how your pelvis rises and falls. And then imagine pulling up your pelvic floor like an elevator all the way up as you breathe. And if you can pull that up, you'll actually feel the muscle come up, and you can release it as you breathe down. So when I say connect to your root chakra and your breath, that's that feeling. And maybe when we're in a position, you might want to connect to that root chakra to really feel that by connecting physically to that pelvic floor. So the first thing we're going to start with is the chant of Lam, which is the activating sound for your root chakra. It's a diaphragmatic chant. So we're going to sort of engage our diaphragm while we do this chant. You'll feel it vibrate. The mudra looks like this. That is the root chakra mudra. So in a comfortable seated position, as we inhale, we will exhale with the chant Lam. And get a little bit longer. Lam. Lam. And you can do that as many times on your own in your own practice. The more you put out that sound vibration, that vibration energy of foundation, of root, the more you shall receive it. That was a good feeling for today for me. I hope it helps you as well. Before we begin, I wanted to introduce the Satali Sitkari pranayama. So pranayama is actually breath retention, but we do this in our breath work. So Satali is actually what we're going for, but some people just genetically can't do this breath, so that's where we have Sitkari. So if you have the ability to roll your tongue, I do not have that DNA, but if you have the ability to roll your tongue, like a taco when you stick it out, that's how you will start this breath. And if you don't, you might put your tongue behind your teeth. So I'll talk through this breath before I do it. So this is a cooling breath. And as the tongue is out or under the teeth, we are going to inhale through the mouth. Then a cooling breath will come across the tongue. We're going to close the mouth, seal the lips, bring our tongue to the roof of our mouth, placing that cool air tongue on the roof of our mouth, and exhale through our nose. So, if you can, fold your tongue. It might look like this. And if you're like me, it might look like this. So we do this breath 10 times. And once you get a hang of this breath, try and make your exhales 2 times longer than your inhales. So we'll inhale 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last 2. And as you finish that last exhale, come back to your yoga breath, breathing that air into the stomach. And if it's possible for the rest of this practice, try and breathe in and out through your nose. In your easy pose, we're just going to take a nice simple twist, so you can bring your left knee to your left hand to your right knee, your right hand behind. Take a simple twist. If it's available to you, look over your right shoulder and breathe here. This is just starting to open our spine. On your next inhale, come back to center, and on your next exhale, change sides. You want to make sure that you're still sitting up straight in your spine, not leaning on that back arm. On your next inhale, come back to our center. So we're going to practice adding a little yoga breath to movement. So come to hands and knees. I'll actually tilt a little. And we're going to come into cat-cow. So you're going to start by putting your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And I want to bring attention to the wrists. If you're feeling pressure in your wrists, spread out your fingers and really distribute your weight into your fingers and into the hand. The base of the palm shouldn't have as much weight, but really spread and put that weight throughout your hand so that you're not locking in on your wrist. Your wrist should not feel pain in them. And that can take a little bit of practice. It's something I still work on. So cat-cow is how we're going to introduce, one, some movement in our spine, and two, we're going to introduce breath and movement. So it's just a good exercise to kind of learn that. So our cat on our exhale looks like this with a dome spine, and you would look at your root chakra. And on your inhale, big sip of air, the spine goes into this nice curve, the chest comes out, the face comes out and looks forward. And to really get this stretch, make sure you push forward into your chest and think about widening out your chest. And we're going to flow through this now. So we're going to exhale, cat, inhale, cow, and on your own, two more rounds. All right, come back onto your toes. It'll look like this. And we're going to kind of bounce here. We're going to bring our hands to heart, and this is a good place to set your intention for this practice. While we're breaking up some of that tension in our toes. You may want to repeat a mantra to yourself, such as, I need a strong foundation to be strong, and I dedicate this practice to creating a strong foundation. You may have something else in your heart as well. A few more breaths here. All right. And then come up to knees, tap those toes out. We're just getting them ready for the work today. This work requires a lot of our toes. So, come into your child's pose. Make sure you hinge at the hip. Coming down. Stretching out that spine. And breathe here a few moments. Ground yourself into the earth. On your next inhale, rise up. You may kind of come into a tabletop and then stretch your hips up for our first downward dog. And remember, you can bend your knees. The point of downward dog is to have a straight spine, not a rounded spine. You can even pedal your legs like so. And think about bringing those shoulders away from your ears. Breathing in and out. Do one more breath in this pose. On your next exhale, walk your feet to your hands. Stay here in a half fold. Again, you can bend your knees. The point is for your spine to be straight. And your hands may rest on the ground. They may rest in ragdoll, holding elbows. The big thing here is make sure you release your head and your neck. Shake your head yes, shake your head no. Relax the face. This is how we get the neck stretch in this small inversion. On your next inhale, hands to shins. Slide up to a half fold. Very much like our cow, we're going to bring our chest up, gaze forward. Sip in some air here. On your next exhale, hinge back, fold down. Yeah. Let that neck hang low and long. Shake your head yes, shake your head no. Don't lock your knees. You may find you have more ability to straighten them. You may still bend them as such. I sometimes like to have the chest against the legs. It's just nice. On your next inhale, drag the hands up your shins for a half fold. Bring the gaze up. Take a sip of air. And on your next inhale, hands out like a T. And we are going to hinge up and rise. So we are now going to work on our mountain pose, Tadasana, which is a very big pose in our root chakra work, as it is very grounding and it creates happiness. So I want to start by rolling on your feet a little, like this. I'll actually come up so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And until you find a good balance, you know, we don't pay a lot of attention to our feet. So I just want to kind of emphasize that. All right. So as we roll those out and you find a good place to balance, put your ankles down and your legs should be about hip distance apart. And leave your toes up for just a moment. And then I want you to try and even visualize or physically do putting your pinky toes down on the mat first, then your middle, then your big toes. Now tilt the inside of your thighs to each other. Think about bringing your kneecaps up to the body, cinching in your abdomen, rolling your shoulders, and then pointing your fingers down at the earth. Tadasana, mountain pose. Really ground yourself into those toes. Think about separating them wide and being active in all the muscles in the body, and breathe here for a few breaths. Take one more breath. I'm going to step even further back so you can fully see this. And we are going to do a little bit of a stretch here. So steeple hands is another mudra. And what this one does is it releases negative energy. So steeple hands looks like this. Stay in your mountain pose. And we are going to take our hands, bring them together, send our steeples up above our head, breathe in as we send them up, and then on your next exhale, bump your right hip out and send your steeple to the left, and breathe through this outer body, separating the ribs with your breath. See with each exhale if you can get deeper into the stretch. Last 2 breaths here. On your next inhale, bring it up to center. Bump your hip out to the left. Bring your steeple to the right. And breathe. Last 2 breaths. And on your next inhale, bring it back up to center. Lower those hands, maybe roll those shoulders a little bit. And reconnect to that root chakra. Think about having a neutral pelvis. Coming to the top of your mat. Take your right foot back about 3.5, 4 feet. We are going to come into Warrior 2. So your front ankle, bottom of your foot should be even with the arch of your back foot. On your next exhale, we're going to bring the knee over the ankle. If you find your knees too far over your ankle, maybe widen your stance. And then on your next inhale, bring your hands out. I'll back up a little. And your gaze goes over your front middle finger. Let's check into your back right hand, make sure that's parallel. And breathe in this strengthening pose. Two more breaths here. On your next inhale, bring your front leg back up and straight. And then rotate your front left foot to be facing the same as your back. So both toes should be facing the long part of your mat. We're just going to come into a wide forward fold. There's a few modifications for how this might look for you. So as wide as you feel comfortable. Remember to hinge into your fold. Inhale, exhale, fold. Now for some, this may be fun. Ragdoll, again with the neck hang heavy. Shake your head yes, shake your head no. Release any tension in the jaw and in the face. For some, you may want to come down, hands to the earth. Kind of as in downward dog, looking at the root chakra. And for others, you may even want to wrap hands around ankle. Think about grounding yourself through those toes, moving your toes, separating them as a mountain pose, Tadasana. Finding balance and strength here. Two more breaths here. On your next inhale, if your hands are on your ankles, drag them up. If they are here, holding each other, send them out to T. Once you get to T, hinge your hips up, and your head should be the last thing that comes up. So you should have both your feet on the long side of your mat. This time we're going to change our feet. Our right foot is going to be facing the short side of our mat. Our ankle is going to be in line with the arch of our left foot. And we're going to go into Warrior 2 on the other side. Remember to keep your knee above your ankle, not over. Take a wider stance if you need to. And your gaze should be over your right middle finger. Double back, check on the left. And if you feel that your knee on your straight leg is kind of locked up, think about bringing your weight to the outside of your back foot and taking some of that leverage off of that knee. Few breaths here. Last two. On your next inhale, bring your hand to your knees, straighten up. Bring your right foot to face the long side of the mat, just like you did before. And in this time for our triangle fold, you can go into the last fold that you had, or you may offer yourself a shoulder stretch and clasping the hands behind your back, coming into the hinge fold and letting the arms come up. Gravity will do the work here. Trust in your body. If this isn't available to you, you can come back to ankles. Hold the elbows. Ground yourself in the floor. Think about it, if you are doing this, how to give your chest a nice stretch, but still also let your head hang long. Shake it yes, shake it no. One more breath here. If you have your hands clasped, unclasp them. Come up halfway. Put out your two hands to protect your spine. Hinge at the spine. Head is the last thing to come up. Tadasana, mountain pose. So come back, see if you can find any more stability in those feet and in your body. You might be quicker this time. Raise those toes up, bring them down pinky to toe, bring the inside calves in, ask the kneecaps to come up, bring in your ribs, roll back your shoulders, almost think of them as touching the earth. The chest is naturally up, the head is up, the fingers are down, Tadasana. Last breath here. On your next exhale, hinge at the hips, maybe put a bend into your knee, forward fold. On your next inhale, out into plank. In your next exhale, push back into downward dog. Gaze goes to the root chakra. Knees can be bent. On your next inhale, walk the legs up between the hands, forward fold. Step your right leg back, warrior. We're going to do warrior one. And with warrior one, we have to be very careful with our hips. So we're going to be in our warrior. We're going to exhale. Bring your knee forward. Inhale, slight tilt to the hips. You're not going to fully square them off, but bring them up so that your torso is forward. Inhale, arms go totally up. And you may do steeple hands. You may do prayer hands. You may leave your hands open. And if it's available to you, you may look up between your hands or to your steeple. And I'll back up to show this in full. Few breaths here. Last breath. On your inhale, bring your body up. Twist it back around. Just like you did in triangle, you're going to bring both of your feet to face the outside edge of your mat. We are going to do goddess pose here. You may want to bring in your heel toe in a little bit from your wide stance. And we are going to send our hips back into a squat, and then cactus arms out, goddess. Engage your core. Last breath here. On the exhale, you may come up. This time we are going to change our warrior one on the opposite side. Right knee is forward, dropping the knee over the heel, or excuse me, over the ankle. Inhale, slight twist to the hips forward. And the next inhale, arms rise up. I have a slight shoulder injury, so I kind of give myself a little room. And maybe the gaze goes up between the hands. If you're feeling tightness in the shoulders, it may not make sense to do steeple or bring hands together. You may just want to leave them open. Same as before, if you're feeling tightness in the hip, put that weight into the outside edge. Last breath here. And on the next exhale, bring your arms down. Twist that foot around. From warrior one, we're going to bring our hands to our heart, heel toe, our feet back in. Just take a breath here. We're going to bring our hands to heart all the way through for a forward fold. So exhale, hinge, forward fold. Let the head hang long and heavy. On your next inhale, step back to plank. Next exhale, push the hips up for downward dog. Last downward dog here. So really go for your biggest and best one yet. Last 2 breaths here. On your next exhale, bring your knees to your mat, your big toes together, knees go wide, and sink down into child's pose. Honor the work that your body just did. Reconnect to that root chakra. See if while you're in child's pose, you can envision bringing that pelvic floor up and through the top of your hand and releasing it. Last 2 breaths here. And then come back to a seated position or your easy pose. You may notice that my pants are a little different when you come up. They're riding pants, but you'll see that here on butterfly. When you get me back into this easy seated position, take a few breaths. I know for me it's hot here. And then come to butterfly, and whatever feels the most comfortable for you, in or out. Some people might want to come closer in, some people out, and just hold a basket here around your pose. And you may find a forward fold. And this is just opening those hips. Last 2 breaths here. And stretch the legs out long. Bring your spine up. If you have a hard time keeping your spine straight in this position, you can put a book under you to help rise yourself. Sometimes I can do a sit on hands if that's kind of what I'm lacking. And I'm just going to flex and point my toes, give a little more attention to those feet. You may join me in that as well. Few more breaths here, and think about really lengthening that spine. You should have a nice natural curve in the spine. There shouldn't be any big dips or arches. When you're ready, you can bring your knees bent and slowly recline back to your mat. Bring our knees kind of closer to the buttocks. Hands down to the mat flat. We're going to press into the mat with our hands and our feet, our very strong, stretched out feet, into bridge pose. We're just going to bring the hip points up to whatever level you're able to do today. If this is a challenge for you as well, you can take that same book you had for staff pose, and just put it right under the hips and rest in a more restorative position. So your next inhale, send those hip points up, and breathe here for 3 breaths. On your last inhale, see if you can bring those hip points a little bit higher. And on your next exhale, slowly send them back down to the earth. Breathe here. Your next exhale, bring your right knee to chest. And your next inhale, place it down. And the next exhale, left knee to chest. Next inhale, bring it down. On the next exhale, bring both knees into chest and just hug yourself. You may want to roll that spine around, give it a little massage. Thank yourself for this practice. And on the next inhale, send the legs out. Straight on the mat. Relax some. Come into Shavasana, corpse pose. And this is where we're going to spend the last few minutes of our practice together. Close your eyes. Your tongue is on the roof of your mouth. Let it relax in the mouth. Notice the muscles in your face. Anything tight there. Notice it, release it. Notice the muscles in the shoulders and in the neck. Try and send them deeper into the ground. Notice your breath rising and falling, filling your chest and your abdomen with air. If your spine is arched, send it into the ground, let it relax into natural position. Notice your hips. Let them open. your legs, your knees, your ankles, your feet. Allow them all to open and lay heavy into the earth. You may want to envision where your root chakra is. Maybe even place your hands there. And envision a light down in the deep base of your pelvis, the lowest part of your spine, space between your legs. Imagine a light, and it's turning red and glowing. Red is the color of our root chakra. Just imagine that light growing stronger and fully supporting that area of your body with its light and its color. It may serve you to think of all the positive things that do bring you a solid foundation in this world. It can be hard for many right now to feel safe, to feel as if they have foundation. Maybe think of a place, a thing, a person, an animal, a song, a book, a smell, anything that brings you to this safe place. And visualize that as a part of this Shavasana. Finding stillness in this moment is just as much part of our practice as our asana, our poses that we do. Honor this time. If you have thoughts floating through your head, acknowledge them. With your exhale, release them, breathe them out. Take another minute here. You may want to start wiggling your toes, your hands, bringing life back to the body, coming out of corpse pose. Maybe bend, flex, point your feet. You may want to take a big stretch overhead. Point the toes, awakening the body and the spine. When you're ready, roll over to your right side. Maybe using your hand as a pillow. And push yourself back up slowly. You can keep your eyes closed or open, soft gaze. Come back to your seated position the way that we started our practice. And breathe. I hope that this practice served you today as it served me. I know that I feel my body is stronger. My feet are my roots. I feel that my foundation is stronger. I envision my red light energy coming through to my spine, up into the universe. Peace be with you.